So this is a great way to end
Hello.
because we are celebrating some history. Yeah, let's get
Ease
cash.
up.
Yes. So do you come here often?
To student hotel.
um, we are making some history today. We are helping Marco and his great team launch the first ever today. So starting at 4 o'clock, everybody's invited. So bring your badge, and in about an hour, we're going to have a big party. Matthias will be there. It's going to be, it's going to be rocking. We're going to open a school. When have you ever opened a school? And it's got a bike, and it's literally about 5 minute bike straight down Knowledge Mile. So we are supporting the SDGs today because we're helping you open a school. So tell us who came up with this idea and how we go to a point where we're opening a school about the SDGs.
You mean the idea of starting the school?
I want everything. Where's
All
the
right.
idea,
Yeah.
and then how did it become reality? Because that's what this entire conference is about.
Yeah.
Great ideas, turning them into reality.
Sure. So it all started about a year and a half ago.
And if it's a long story, I'm going to chill here.
So 1.5 years ago. No, so you see, just like we had a discussion with Codam, Corinne earlier on, you see this skill gap. You see there's a gap in how education has been organized until now, and what industry and what organizations and what the world, you might say, is asking for. And we saw that gap. And we started dreaming. We started dreaming up a school within a school, because this is part
And who
of
is the we?
the we is me and a couple of other change makers, people who believe that design, technology, and social innovation should come together, multidisciplinary education without any boundary. So it's for everybody, it's inclusive, it's for all ages. And we wanted to disrupt education at the same time make the world a better place. So that was very ambitious. And we thought we need to partner up. We need to partner up with people. And the Amsterdam municipality was really interested in what we had to say. So they are our main funder at the moment. And at the same time, we are asking industry to take responsibility and team up with us, educate people together. So just like Corinne is doing it herself, we're asking companies to step in, fund their change makers for the future together.
So is this a degree program or is it coursework?
It's actually neither. So it's modules that actually work on challenges right away, because what we think is that education hasn't been able to really create a certain mindset. So until now, you started becoming a specialist, and the mindset to become more sustainable was not really created. And we feel that we need to work both on specialism, expertise, but at the same time also develop the mindset to become a sustainable person, work on the SDGs. You need to have them in your head all the time in order to work for them. And how can you work for the goals using your expertise without knowing what the goals are, without knowing what it takes to actually work on them?
But rewinding, you had this idea about building a school, about putting progress in humanity. How did you decide to tie it to the SDGs? Was it the SDGs that inspired you, or did you guys have this idea and then said, well, the SDGs are what we could channel?
No, well, it was twofold. So first of all, I'm a designer, and I noticed that design is really good in gluing together disciplines. So we started doing education based on design processes, and then we started noticing that we needed to develop some kind of common language to understand each other better. So if you have your own discipline, it doesn't mean that you understand, if you're a designer, what an engineer is saying. So we started creating methodology that would actually do that. So creating this common language to understand each other and to also be able to share better. Because we think that the creative industry or innovators, they are not really sharing enough and not daring enough. So at the same time, the sharing part we had to develop with the language, with the fact that you understand each other and the results are similar. And the daring part is actually about daring to really change something, not only working on the stage, well, but on really working on the bigger goals. And then the UN launched the United Nations Development Program, launched the Sustainable Development Goals in 2015. And we thought, wow, this is great. This makes sense. I mean, they're just huge goals. I mean, if you see them, life on land, zero poverty, I mean, what does that mean? But it's just a way to actually work together under the same umbrella.
Yep.
And that makes a lot of sense. So we said, okay, design, tech, social innovation, share each other's goals.
Great.
Perfect formula. Now we need a school to actually...
But this means your school is going out of business in 12 years in 2030.
You know...
There will be new problems to tackle, I promise you.
I love your optimism.
Yes.
I would say yes.
Yes, we hope so.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be new problems then.
Yeah.
So, all right, so if I want to... By the way, if you have... This is interactive. We're going to take it to the room in about 2 minutes. So what we want to, we want to find out more about the school. We also want to talk about how we can work together and ideate. And because one of the 17 SDGs is partnership, and that's what
we're here.
That's obviously it's a great partnership. Your school in itself a partnership. The partnership with Forbes and the Knowledge Mile and your school is a partnership. How can we encourage partnerships? And I will also add that we've, in the spirit of coming up with ideas, we have pledged at Forbes we're going to do a story on Monday on this day with information on each of the 17 based on what we ideate here. So your idea here in Forbes on Monday being shared around the world. So your ideas in this forum will have global reach. So come up with some ideas as we're talking about. I want to know so who is a student at this school? Like, is it mid-career, undergraduate,
it's going to be
15-year-old, a 40-year-old?
It's you.
All right. Back to school. I like it.
Yeah. So
How much?
It's free.
All right. I like it better.
So yeah, you can join. I mean, you have your expertise, but do you have the right mindset? That's the thing. So
debatable.
So we work together with the industry, and we work actually with partners all around the world. We started with the United Nations Development Program. We started a way to activate people worldwide. It's just a simple hackathon style. We call it the Global Goals Jam, and it's going to happen in 2 weeks actually. So it's kind of a commercial break here. We ask you all to join from wherever you are. You can join here in Amsterdam. You can join in Sofia in Bulgaria. You can Bulgaria. You can join in Brazil, etc. So it's 70 cities all around the world, working with the methodology that we created. So that language, actually sharing with each other, working on local challenges related to the SDGs, and then sharing that globally and seeing if they can inspire each other and actually build upon each other's work. That's what we call activation. So we have activate, then we want to share, and then we need to build upon each other's work more.
And how much of this has been infused by the success of things like Khan Academy and different MOOCs and the idea that now education can be global? I mean, what lessons have you taken of some of your predecessors?
Yeah, many lessons. I mean, so that's exactly what I'm saying, build upon each other's work. So we look closely to other initiatives. However, what we see is that we all create hubs globally, but it doesn't mean that you really work with each other's work. And I love what Corinne was saying, that she has this curriculum that actually builds up globally, and as soon as one location changes something, it goes to all the locations, and that makes a lot of sense. So we have a program, it's called Design Across Cultures, and what we do is we set up projects related to SDGs on a local level, and we have other teams in different places in the world working together simultaneously on the same issues, but from their own local perspective. So for example, working on mobile phone usage, making that more sustainable. If you look at it from an Amsterdam perspective, we had a team here, they would look more at the individual, the consumer. Why do so many people have phones in their drawer? Who's guilty of that? I have like 10 in my drawer. It's ridiculous. And then as soon as they're
too valuable to throw out, but they're useless.
Yeah, and it's kind of a way.
And I worry that my photos are still on there, even though I transferred them out. It's superstitious.
But as soon as you open it up after 5 years, something, you think you throw them all away. And where do they end up? They end up on e-waste landfills in India. So we had a team in India looking at the same problem from their perspective. We had a team in Barcelona also looking at it from a city's perspective. So it was individual consumer, city perspective, and then society perspective. And they all learned from each other because it's a global issue. So if you have one solution here, it affects the other solutions as well. So that's what we want to, and that if you talk about partnerships, you need that kind of partnerships. You need to have like the chain of innovation of cities, of design hubs, of companies that actually work together on that scale.
All right, well, maybe a good moment to take it to the audience. Any thoughts, questions, ideas on partnerships in general? We'll go straight down the middle here. 1 and 2. And tell us who you are, where you're from, and what's up. Yep, you're good.
Okay, so Ariana Koskarova from Macedonia. I also have Informal Education Hub, Creative Hub, but I wanted to ask because is your school only lecturing digital courses or how is it regulated? Are you like authorized by the government or it's just like informal? How is it really?
Well, we are part of university. So we are part of the University of Applied Sciences here in Amsterdam. So we're formally an educator, and funded by the government in that sense. However, we also look for funding elsewhere. So that's the new business model. We want it to be integrated. What was your second part of the question? So it's formal?
Is it only digital courses,
Oh,
like
yeah.
digital technology? You also have like politics and science and music.
Exactly.
Like
so it's actually that. So we had the question before to Corinne about technologies or programming. Where do ethics come in, you know? So if you work on artificial intelligence, how do you make sure that it's actually integrated in society in a meaningful, responsible way? And that's what you need for that is courses on ethics. You need people that are anthropologists working with you or psychologists. So we try to have them all in the teams. You work in a team as a student. So you bring in your expertise, but you learn from each other's expertise. And that's why you also broaden your own skill set. So it's digital, a digital realm, digital society, where we say everything is now digital. Technology is pushing everything. But we need the other disciplines to actually integrate that technology. So just like
I think part of the question is, do people physically ever get together in the same room, or is it all?
in that sense, yeah. So we're all here in Amsterdam, so we have those projects in different places. But the school is now situated here in Amsterdam, and you come here. But we have hybrid education where you can still do online courses and then come here at a certain point. We have it all. So it's physical, it's temporary, it's modular, and it can be hybrid, online, physical.
Great. Did you have Peter, you have a question?
Hey, who's smoking?
Thank you.
Yeah, I like it. We're going to make like a rock video here.
Towards the
Yeah,
question
I see you.
section. Yeah. My name is Tudor Mihailescu. I've worked a bit with United Nations agencies. And I've got to understand that they can bring a lot of value because they take the world as one unit. So they look at the entire world and they're trying to make it better. And the United Nations has a lot of resources. Unfortunately, however, the United Nations is quite distant from country levels. So I was wondering if you could share with us how you managed to partner with the United Nations Development Program. How did you reach to them? And what were the challenges? How did you overcome them? Because I bet there's many people in this room who would like to strike these partnerships and don't really know how to start.
Good question. When it's distant, it's also very bureaucratic, as many people here know.
Yeah.
How did you navigate that, or did you navigate that?
With the UN, yeah. So UN is still, I mean, it's very, what you say, gluey in a way. Yeah. So slow, yeah. So we have a great partnership with them, and the United Nations Development Program specifically works with local governments, and they have their local offices that are independent. So the local offices, they completely comply with what the local governments are planning to do in that country. And the United Nations Development Program, where we are partnering with in New York, is just distributing the money. And what we did is we said we wanted to give you some innovation power. So we have the local offices team up with design hubs, universities, etc., on a local level in that city or in that country. And that helps the United Nations Development Program to see what can be done in terms of distributing innovation power as well. So they like the vision of that global innovation chain where everything is connected, but still having that local, sturdy, structured approach as well. So it's gluey, but it also helps us in that sense. So they distribute it in the same way, and we don't harm that distribution. So we adapt ourselves as well. Yeah.
Anybody else? Back here.
I'm from Macedonia too. Nina, we're
So
2
many
million.
Macedonians here.
We're 2 million
We don't have a
citizens.
jam there yet, so perhaps you can
Total,
jam with us.
and there are two of us asking
Two
questions
vocal
here.
Macedonians here. That's good.
I have
Go Balkans.
I had the chance to live in Chicago for a month and a half and work at a university which has like a hub inside the university. So as you mentioned, you are a part of the university. I imagine that maybe all students, regardless of which department they are, they can come and join the digital society agenda and curriculum and stuff. So that's, I guess, amazing. And my question is, honestly, because the topic is partnership potential, right, with the government and public sector and civil society, my personal belief is that government should just get out of the way and try to remove the obstacles at least, because how do you find the governments helping or except giving the money?
That's a good Forbes question. Thank you.
Well, we're a bit more optimistic about the government because they're funding us. So
The Dutch government's great, but the rest of them, I don't know.
okay, I can't speak for the rest. So basically, what we do is we ask them for their help, both in funding, but also here we work closely with the Chief Technology Office here in Amsterdam, which is great. They have a Chief Technology Office here in Amsterdam, or in Helsinki they have a Chief Design Office even. So that kind of departments within government, we think, make a lot of sense to work with because they're on top of the social and local issues, and they also share the same mindset as we do. But like I said, you need the local challenges to actually have impact on a more national or global level. So don't really tell them to get out of the way, but tell them to give your challenges in your hands, and you pick it up. Like, hey, we pick it up for you. You only have to pay and lean back, and we'll help you. Yeah, so do it together. Yeah, so it's business and society. Governments are part of that. So, yeah.
Good. Over here. Then I'll come over here, so you won't be left out.
Hi, Badem Mbara, simply here from Amsterdam, co-founded Neurified and Think Tank United. So you just gave the example of old phones that we don't use. Do you open source a list of all the problems and solutions so that entrepreneurs and innovators from outside the system can also contribute?
Yeah, great question. We do. Not enough yet because we prototyped something earlier, like a year and a half ago, a platform where we wanted to share all the ideas and all the results coming from the Global Goals Jams and see if it would work, if we could build upon each other's work. Open, not patented, no IP, none of that. But it was hard. Because what we say is that designers, and specifically, or creative people, they don't share enough yet. There's a lot of waste, and we call that design waste. So all the results coming from the process.
It's like
of
the
design.
old phones of design.
Yeah, kind of like yeah. So it's, even though the phones are still physical, it's physical waste, but so it's more the process, the things that you don't share, that you don't see from each other. And we think that goes to waste. And you need a platform or something actually that that would bring that up and make it visible for people, make it findable. But it was really hard because people had to document things. And it was very hard for people to document things when they were in another process. So when you're designing or doing something, creating something, you don't want to document. It felt like an extra task. So we are still working on tackling that problem. No solution yet, but platform, or at least something that feeds the community with ideas and with solutions. so that you can really work on each other's work. That really is necessary. So if an entrepreneur is here that wants to pick that up, we'd be happy to talk.
All right, good. Fine. This side of the room, we got anything? I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm from Israel, Chief Strategy Officer at Vanilla. And I have a question. I believe that now with the AI and the digitalization, you can get to many places around the world, like the third world or advancing countries. So do you have like ideas how you're going to scale it to these kinds of places?
Scale the school or our model
Or the school, like to get the ideas and the things.
Yeah. So we like you said, we have an open call to everybody to join us in that jam, and that jam creates a community of people that have the same mindset, that want to change things. Mostly they are design hubs, universities, some of companies. And that's the chain of innovation, and you use that chain to actually distribute everything. So we don't really say we need satellites of our school everywhere. We just need the community to become bigger. So I would urge.
So the scale is going to come from Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And well, the hub's going to be Amsterdam, and the scale will ripple out as opposed to
Exactly.
replicating around the world.
Yeah. It's the methodology, it's the model. It's not us scaling. Yeah.
Please.
Hello, I'm Anna Maria. I'm Croatian. I'm Macedonian.
You know the Eurovision Song Festival? No.
So I think that discussion we've been having so far is actually kind of slightly Western-centric, according to the kind of environment we are in. But what about the underdeveloped and developing countries who don't have the infrastructure in place, whose governments are corrupt, civil societies are almost non-existent? And it seems to me as if those places are kind of places that need your expertise the most. So have you been considering how we could outsource this kind of model?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is really a big dream of us to have that kind of impact. So lately, I'm also telling other people, like, I'm a bit worried that we are in this bubble and we're all talking about the SDGs and that really maintaining each other's conversations, continuously talking about the same stuff and not really doing something on ground level where it's needed. So I think actually, like I said, the open model that we have would help to invigorate people to really step up, bottom up. So the governments are corrupt, etc. But in a lot of places nowadays, you have these kind of innovation hubs. You have educators that open up, that work with companies, really on a ground level. And we see that with the Jam, for example, we really reach those kind of people in many countries. And Africa is actually now becoming more involved, for example, which is really great. So we see it working, but that kind of impact is a dream. I'm not sure if we are there yet. Thanks.
How many students out of the gate do you have
How many students out of?
right now? Like, we're starting today. How many people do you have kind of participating right as of this afternoon when we launch?
You mean the green sweaters? Yeah, so we have, we're just starting, so we have 30 students. We have a big team already of 25 working on the school full-time. And we're rippling out now. So the Jam, for example, has 2,500 people involved worldwide. So it depends what you see as students. You know,
Exactly.
people involved in our community. Community is growing really rapidly. So we have a couple of thousand people in the community. But students right here, 30.
30 students.
Which makes it very intimate and really nice. Yeah.
They felt over here. Right in the front.
Hi, I'm Vincent from the Netherlands. I really like this initiative of this new school because I'm an old IT dinosaur. So, but what's your definition of success of the school? Where do you want to be within 2 or 3 years?
Well, we have that written down in a plan for the municipality. But if I can just elaborate on it from my own perspective, I would say, growing this community and especially the mindset. So if we have people that are actually getting jobs and saying, okay, I was an expert in this, now I went to the digital site school, learned so much about this, and I'm just going to work on the SDGs, even though I'm now working for you. So I'm working for you, Cisco or TomTom. However, I find it important to do everything that we do to relate that back to the SDGs and to really be this kind of person that really can not only design the transformation, but actually guide it, digital transformation of the world in general, of the company, to guide it and to steer that in the right direction. So yeah, change makers perhaps.
Well, you bring up an interesting point, which is we're talking about partnerships, the SDG itself that we're talking about is partnerships. How do you, because that makes a lot of sense that you're going to have people who then implement your learning within companies, and you're going to have people from companies hopefully learning from your school. How do you plan to actually establish partnerships with these companies?
Well, we have already, so we're proud.
Yes, but what have you learned? How many, you have 20,000 companies to go. So how, based on what you've learned, because I think that's a model we could all learn from, how do you take this public good you're doing and how have you found it most effective to establish a private partnership with some of the big companies?
Yeah, it's a good point. So of course, we're still working on that. So it's fighting sometimes. So you get the companies that come first are the ones that actually find this stuff important. So they are the companies that have SDGs, like Unilever, for example. They have Paul Polman.
Paul Polman, yeah.
He's like one of the big advocates for the SDGs in the industry. That kind of companies are the first to come.
Did they reach out to you, or did you reach out to them?
Both. Yeah. So both ways. Yeah. So for example, but also like Vodafone and Ziggo, you don't really expect them to work on SDGs, but now we're going to do a project on urban farming with Vodafone. So it's just that they want to change their company from within, innovation, transformation, with different topics than just like telecom, what they're good at and what they're selling. So they want to pick up other projects. We're working with a company in Japan, from Tokyo. They do all kinds of stuff with AI, and they're going to work with us, or they work with us on bike theft, just to think outside of the box and look at social issues. And that's how they learn. And that's what we sell. We sell leadership transformation in that sense.
How do you pick which areas you focus on? I mean, there's so many, there are literally hundreds that you could focus on. So how do you prioritize?
That's a hard one because it's usually in combination with what kind of partnerships we get. So if Vodafone comes to us, we start up a conversation. Hey, what makes sense? What are you working on? So of course, we look at the most pressing issues locally. So the Jam is also a nice catalyst for this kind of ideas and topics. So we get sponsorships, people that bring in a challenge for the Jam, and then this is interesting. I want to continue this, and then we say, hey, we have design across cultures. We have our modules. You can bring in your professionals. They can do a traineeship with us. They can do a module. Yeah. So basically that.
And how much capacity? You've got a big mission. How big? How fast? I mean, that's again a question a lot of people have in whatever organization they're having is, what's the growth plan? Is it let's get as big as fast as we can, or are you going to go slow?
Well, we always think big, but start small. That's why we are with 30 students now, but we're scaling up to 1,200 students a year. And then again, students in the broadest sense. So people that interact with us, following learning modules on technology, design, social innovation. Doesn't have to be 2 years. It can even be a module of 1 week.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what's the plan in terms of in terms of 1,200 students, how does somebody, let's say, probably people here are already thinking, I know somebody, this might fit, or what's the process? Become a student.
Go to our
Just
website.
go to a website and
Yeah.
click.
Yeah, so start a conversation with us. We're open to all conversations. You can have the conversation throughout the whole year. What you're looking for, the website states all the modules that we are offering. You can even stay in your own country and tell your university or partner up with the university, say, hey, design across cultures. That's really cool program. You can then,
But you have to have a Heineken while you're at the computer as part of the requirements. So.
yeah, yeah, that's one of them. Even though I don't like Heineken. So if
Sacrilege.
you talk to me, then it should be Goals.
Are there other schools like this that you're aware of that are starting, or do you have this to yourself?
Well, like 100% the same? No. So there are a lot of schools now that are becoming interested in the SDGs, which is great. So we don't want to compete. We invite everybody to work together, and we think if you talk about design waste, I mean, doing everything in silos makes
Right,
sense.
that's
If you
right.
talk about these topics, so SDG 17 is about partnerships.
That's right.
And that's what we're here for. I mean,
I mean, some of the worst, I mean, if you look at philanthropy, every single rich person says, I'm going to start a foundation,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm going to tackle malaria, or I'm going to tackle poverty, and they all build the same, they're all working on the same problems without collaborating, going down same path, and it's such a waste. And I guess it's you clearly have already identified that, which is if we take anything out of this partnerships SDG, it's that sharing is how you solve problems. Because by definition, if you're not sharing the information and your goal is not to keep a corporate secret, but it's to solve a problem,
Yeah.
you can't solve it. So, you know, the assumption would be any organization that is working in this area presumably would have a partner in you, yes?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, yeah, don't partner up, don't waste. Yeah. Care, share, dare. That's it. Yeah.
All right, so we're rolling into 2 minutes. Do we have any other questions, thoughts, hopes, and dreams? One in the back.
Hi, Marco.
Hi.
Hi. How are
We
you?
have a student. One of the
Um,
lucky 30 here.
Well, yeah, we're a part of the school. And so my question was to do with partnerships and how is it that you create overlapping. Okay, let me think about this question. So I want to understand how do you steer the conversation so that both the values of the partner and the values of you as a school are guiding this project that you all are working on together? Or
Help
is
me
it
out
usually
How do you pick, when you pick partnerships,
Yeah.
how important is it to find partners who are aligned with your goals?
I think it's more to do with how do you stir the conversation in a project so that your values are also equally represented and the values of
Yeah.
your partner.
That's a great point. You're going to notice that in the module. So what we do is we tell the partner to really give it in our hands. So we take everything out of their hands and say, this is now our project. We do it together. So all the questions and the things you want to raise, you should raise. So we align within the project, not beforehand. And so if you say, I want to put this in the project, this is important to me, my values, my ethics, etc., bring it in. So challenge them, and that's important. And we have professionals from the company that actually is bringing in the challenge as part of the team. So we want people to be involved. It cannot be full time, but part time. They're in the team.
The problem is, though, because it's the problem of the United Nations. I mean, I've done events at the United Nations where anything you do at the physical building in New York, if any one country in the world doesn't like it, they can veto it. There are 200 vetoes at the United Nations. It's true. And that is why a lot of things don't get done. So while that makes sense, how do you move forward if everybody has their own opinion and wants it to align with their values? Sometimes there has to be somebody leading. So how do you balance that desire to make sure everyone's values are represented, et cetera, with actually getting something done?
Yeah, you mean no compromises.
You
Yeah.
compromise, but you also eventually somebody has to make a decision. How do you
Yeah,
do that?
yeah. So we have a whole process that actually guides that. So we have senior researchers involved, university people. We have the company involved. We have the students that we give like a really big role in that. And then, of course, at one point, what I'm a bit afraid of sometimes is that indeed there will be this compromise that everybody say, yeah, okay, let's meet in the middle then.
Yes.
And that's not good. I read this article in HBR, Harvard Business Review, this morning. Actually, I woke up early about design thinking.
It's the second best business magazine in the world.
As it is. It has good content. So it's about design thinking, and actually that design thinking keeps the status quo, so that you don't really get this kind of innovation out that really
Yep.
changes stuff.
Yes.
So they gave an example of the Obama Foundation. There you go, foundation.
Yes.
There was a $1 billion challenge that they asked designers to solve. I think on flooding of New York or something in the future. And what they came up with was a wall. And it wasn't Trump. He didn't invent it. But it was a wall to actually keep the water out. And it was, the author said, this is typically design thinking, where you just talk and talk, and then you have a compromise at the end. And then there's this solution that actually only will work until 2050, which is, of course, not so long. So another solution that wasn't really granted the money, and we're out of time, was actually building an ecosystem outside of New York where people would be educated, where it was about creating a mindset for ecology, etc., and just accepting that the climate is changing, accepting that the water is rising, and then just changing the mindset instead of just getting this compromise up, and building that for, I think, $3 billion or something like that.
Yes.
So I want to be that second solution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get things done that way. Speaking of getting things done, we're going to start a school in an hour. I've never been to a school launch before, so I'm excited.
It's
so
unlike
the weather
you
is
have ever
beautiful, and it's 4 o'clock, right? 16?
Yeah, just a
15
few hundred meters.
10-minute walk that way, 5-minute bike, 4-minute Uber. Although SDG would say walk or bike, right? To be good for the
Definitely,
good for the
yeah.
good for the world. So 4 o'clock, ceremony, food, beer. We look forward to it. Thank you for being our partner.
Thanks,
Thank
Randall.
you for your time, and we
Hey,
look
so,
forward to celebrating with you.
Will the first business magazine in the world, will it cover the Global Goals Jam?
You got
Can we
it.
high five on that?
That's done.
Yeah,
All
cool.
right, we're making partnerships happen. Thank you.
Thanks, Randall.
We'll see everyone over there at 4, and then Adam Tower, with your badge, you get into the ultimate Amsterdam after party, 9 o'clock, at the highest point in Amsterdam. See you there.
Nice, thanks.
Thank you, Marco and Randall. The program continues at the opening of the Digital Society School at